Here's how we made a 30-minute documentary about the lack of funding that is available to female founders in the tech sector. It's staggering to think that of the money available from venture capitalists, less than 3% goes to female founders. Our client Dave Savage at Nash Squared came to us with the idea of creating a 4-part docuseries about how the tech sector collaborates with other sectors. This is the second in the series, and we wanted to build on the success of the first episode, which was all about medtech. Dave already had contributors in mind and sent over a first draft of the script. We took this and started to develop the visual narrative, working out what parts of the script were going to be done as pieces to camera and what was going to be voiceover, and where the B-roll would be put in to stitch this whole thing together. As the shoot location was Shoreditch in London, we did a virtual recce to find out what areas would work best using Google Street View. We wanted to make use of the grungy, graffiti-covered streets to tell this story, and we found some really good places. With everything planned out, we drove down to London for the shoot. Now, filming in Shoreditch without closing off any streets and trying to deliver lines to camera, as you'd expect, there's a few delays caused by the noise of traffic, public walking through the back of shot, dogs, as there was a kennels nearby and we didn't realise that at the time. We rolled with the punches though. Dave delivered on point, and we managed to get some great shots in some wonderful locations here. Then we stopped by podcast studio Dream Factory, where we were shooting some B-roll of Olio founder Tessa being interviewed. We were packing so much into the day that lunch was a hastily grabbed wrap next to the car as we were about to shoot off to the next location. After that, we headed to Spoke, a tech startup that produces a mindfulness app. They've got a really cool music studio just off Brick Lane, and it was great filming there. Lemsey, the producer, very kindly allowed us to use their music in the documentary, and it just adds such a classy touch. This next section of the film for me was the most important part. It was an idea that I'd had right from the beginning when I first seen the script. Dave steps out of Spoke, puts his earbuds in, and starts walking to the next interview. And he's hearing all these positive affirmations from the Spoke app. And as the beat of the music kicks in, then his voiceover comes in and starts to set up the next part of the film. James did a great job of filming it, and I was so happy with how it turned out at the end. There's only one bit that got messed up. When he steps out of the train station, he bundles into a load of people, and we couldn't quite use the take. And then he gets another take, and then these runners run in front of him like that. So it was almost perfect. Day 2 in London, and we filmed interviews and B-roll at Nash Squared's HQ. They've got a beautiful view from their rooftop garden, and we shot some stunning vistas of the London skyline and St Paul's. We also created a makeshift voiceover booth in one of their rooms using a load of coats around Dave. It was shit. Every shoot has a shitty rig, doesn't it? Every shoot has a shitty rig, and we made this voiceover booth, and we just had to surround Dave with all these coats so we could capture some voiceover. It was then off to Bethnal Green Ventures for the final interview and bits of B-roll of the day before the long drive back up north. The last day of filming was at Tessa's countryside home with the coolest 2 dogs. This is Duchess. We also got a really insightful interview from Tessa. We started the post-production by organising all of the footage from the 3 days and syncing up the interviews. Long-form versions of these were sent over to Dave so he could choose which parts would make the most compelling for the documentary, knowing that the rest of the content were going to be used in standalone versions of the interviews, which would be posted online. Once we had the promised music from Lemsey, we could start cutting the documentary in earnest. Now for me, because it was a really busy schedule that month, I ended up working on this really early mornings and really late at night, but I found that for an edit, and particularly something this creative, I got into that perfect flow state at these times, and I loved burning the candle at both ends. The documentary was premiered at an event in London for female founders, and we shot photography and videography of the night. We also did a virtual premiere on LinkedIn, and the film has been really well received. It's something that we're immensely proud of, and the 3rd episode of Tech Flicks is in production now. Hope you've enjoyed this insight. Catch you soon.